Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Now, if you live in Tennessee or anywhere in the South, you're not gonna want to miss today's show, because the Jack Daniel's whiskey plant is growing toxic mold, and it's causing respiratory problems for the residents, and it's destroying the bushes and plants in the area. Let's take a look at this, because you're probably wondering the reason why I titled the show The 666 Apocalypse. It's because of what you're going to hear next. Watch.
The evaporation of the ethanol that's inside those barrel houses with all that alcohol turns into a black fungus, and that black fungus attaches itself to anything that doesn't move. That's a hazardous material. That zoning does not prohibit that to even occur, and yet we're going to have 66,000 barrels of Jack Daniel's whiskey in each of those 6 barrel houses, producing the black fungus that you see here at 6 times the levels that we have today.
So, we now have a definitive confirmation that this mold apocalypse is connected to the mark or some kind of demonic entity, possession. All of these things confirmed. Now, we already knew this because a year ago we started talking about this coming mold apocalypse. Now it is becoming mainstream news. Over the last 3 months, it's become mainstream news. I have a playlist on it. If you want to look at our oldest videos on mold and fungus, we started doing a year ago. Now, why is this happening, and why are we just now learning about this? Well, this is a manifestation of evil spirits, entities. And wherever these entities are, this black mold and fungus will grow. Let's listen to the rest of this video.
Most of Lincoln County should be concerned, because as Jack Daniel's continues to move forward with their barrel house plans over the next 5 to 10 years, they will begin to turn the rest of Lincoln County into the same black fungus that we're currently dealing with today.
Now, let's read the rest of this story, because this is important for those who live there. Apparently, this is not a new thing, though. There are stories of people who live near plants like this, and this mold will grow all over cars, porches, homes. The residents in Tennessee are fed up with what they call the whiskey fungus. The Bodonia campnesis whiskey fungus is supposedly fueled by ethanol vapor. Notice how they put supposedly in here. Coming from the Jack Daniel's buildings in the area, and has affected the Lincoln County residents since the firm began construction on 6 barrel houses in 2018. Of course, the number 18 is 6 plus 6 plus 6. Now, what makes this also very suspect is that we all know that spirits or alcohol bring out demonic spirits, don't they? Is this why the mold is growing? Because of the spirits contained in the spirits. Now, what interests me about spirits is they are distilled fruit, aren't they? And we all know that fruit is healthy for you, but when it's distilled over and over and over again, I wonder if that becomes the opposite of the fruit. In other words, the anti-fruit. Now, these are just thoughts. I don't know any of this to be true, but it seems to make sense, doesn't it? How God gave us fruit, and this is what humanity lived off of up until the flood. And then all of a sudden after that, what was the first thing that happened to Noah? Well, he began to distill the fruit. And this is when sin started to reestablish itself in the world through Noah getting drunk. And so there's something to this, isn't there? There's something to this. There's something to the fact that Jesus said, "This is my body and this is my blood." And he used wine to represent his blood, which is the beginnings of the degradation of the fruit into spirits. If you keep distilling the wine, it then becomes a spirit, right? What is it? Whiskey or bourbon or whatever? I can't remember. I always forget. Brandy. I think brandy is distilled wine. Now let's keep reading here because there's probably some clues about what's going on and what the future holds for this fungus apocalypse and the release of these evil spirits into our reality during the coming last days. Like the days of Noah, it's happening all over again. Let me check in with you guys, make sure we're connected and we have good sound. Very good. Looks like everyone showed up today. Let's keep going with this story. Enraged locals are arguing that the company and the county must take responsibility for the mold as well as the decreasing home prices and show that air filled with ethanol is safe to breathe. Basically, these people are walking around probably half drunk with all the ethanol in the air. I mean, that's a little bit of a hyperbole, but you can breathing in alcohol can have an effect on you. It attaches to your lungs, and there's probably a level of drunkenness in the air, especially if you get a good whiff of it. Now, interestingly, these people were probably excited about the plant at first because obviously it was going to bring hundreds or even thousands of jobs. But now their home prices have been decreased because everything's covered in a black mold. Patrick Long lives near the barrel houses along with his wife Christy, and they have sued the county. The area residents are putting forward two main requirements, he told Insider: the installation of an air filtration system blocking the emissions of ethanol and limiting the fungus growing in the county, and for an environmental impact study to be conducted reviewing the amounts of ethanol coming from the barrel houses and what health dangers it may pose. Now, it'll be interesting to see what this study says. And let's use deductive reasoning here. And if ethanol is causing this in the environment, what would it do to your body if you were drinking it? Could mold toxicity happen inside your body from drinking too much alcohol? Maybe I should look up some studies on that. Let's keep reading here. I'm extremely concerned. My wife has breathing problems. One of the neighbors got cancer. It's in the air, and you really probably don't want to be breathing that in, but nobody has done a test to determine if it's actually poisonous. 6 barrel houses currently located near his home result in him having to spend $10,000 annually on power washing his home using water and Clorox. Now, anybody will tell you that if you put bleach on mold, all it does is release more mycotoxins. Even though it looks clean, it's really not. The mold actually reacts to it and defends itself. It's almost as if it has a mind of its own. Now, if you want some further research on mold and demonic manifestation in spirits, then you want to check out the decode that I did on the movie Archive 81. Or maybe it was a TV series. Archive 81. Right here on the channel. It's actually part of the mold fungus playlist. And in that particular movie or series, as the building becomes more and more demonically possessed, the mold starts growing all over the building. And as they begin to use these rituals to start to open up portals in the building, the mold grows more and more in the building. Now, let's keep going with this. He added that officials in the area have ceased trying to clean the street signs, instead replacing them when they're no longer readable. You guys, this is like out of a movie. This is like out of the Upside Down from Stranger Things. An entire world covered in ash and mold. Miss Long's lawsuit against the County Board of Planning and Zoning argues that the county must order a stop work order to stop the planned construction of additional barrel houses, claiming that the company's initial construction was out of the bounds of the law. They don't have the correct site plan approval and building permits for the site. 200 people from the community and Jack Daniels' staff attended a public hearing in December of last year. Becky Benson Carroll, oh, that's weird. BBC, that's 322 backwards, said she had stage 4 lung cancer that has reached her brain. She added that her dog has chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. I think there is a concern for the quality of our lives. I'm a strong, healthy person, and this should not have happened. I can't prove it was from the ethanol, but somebody needs to prove that it's not. I'm in favor of a filtration system. So, the vice president, Melvin Keebler, told her she had the company's sympathy and empathy. Well, that's not going to fix someone's health, is it? Money is worthless when you've lost your health. All of our warehouses are permitted appropriately, he said, of course. So, we will follow the story and other stories of mold taking over America as this develops. Wow, now I have some other stories for you guys today that aren't as striking or important, but need to be covered nonetheless. We've been talking a lot about the war on natural gas, haven't we? Well, people are upset, and they were blaming Biden, and of course, that's where the blame is squarely placed, but the elite have now come up with their own scapegoat in an attempt to try to separate the Biden presidency and culpability for the rising gas prices, rising natural gas prices, as well as the push to crack down on your natural gas stoves and appliances. Who's the scapegoat? Well, it's a dark money group that nobody can name. They just call it a dark money group. Now, if you're not aware of this, there's an ongoing battle to take away or replace all of your natural gas appliances that you spent tens of thousands of dollars on in your home. This is going to push rents up significantly for landlords who have to replace these appliances. Of course, electricity is less efficient because it uses fossil fuels to make the electricity, and then it's sent through power lines. This is our future, you guys. Let's read this. The founders of Rewiring America, environmental advocacy dark money group. Oh, okay, so they do name the group. But make no mistake, this isn't about the group. This is our government. And it will happen regardless of who's in power. Mark my words. If Trump's reelected, which I believe he will be, we'll get into him later in the show because the Supreme Court is now hearing his case regarding the election fraud. Make no mistake, they will still come for your gas stoves, and even if it doesn't happen under his presidency, it'll happen under the next Democrat that gets in office, which will happen because that's the way our system works. Doesn't matter how many people vote, they keep swinging the pendulum back and forth, right to left, while everybody stays asleep, and their agenda is pushed behind the scenes, their bipartisan agenda. So now we have a scapegoat. Rewiring America, an environmental advocacy dark money group behind the push to regulate and ban natural gas-powered stoves, have a significant financial stake in the green energy push. Alex Lasky, Saul Griffith, and Ari Matsukiak, who together founded Rewiring America in 2020, have all pursued various wind, solar, electrification, and energy efficiency ventures, some of which have netted them millions of dollars in buyouts or received significant federal funding. The three co-founders have simultaneously advocated for policies benefiting those ventures through the nonprofit. It's a shocking amount of money that they're hauling in with this scheme of theirs. So, this is the new scapegoat to take the blame off of Biden. Unbelievable. Don't fall for it, you guys. We need diverse energy sources. Anybody will tell you that. The most efficient energy source without wasting a bunch of efficiency is the fossil fuel from which these things are created, from which electricity is created. You don't make electricity and then sell it to people because it's about half as efficient. Now they'll say, oh, we're going to be able to, everything's going to be on wind power. No, wind power will never replace fossil fuels to make electricity. You can't put up enough windmills. You could have a windmill for every square mile in America and still not be able to produce the electricity you would from natural gas and fossil fuels. So now already they're trying to brainwash us, trying to tell us that they've measured lower demand for gasoline, another fossil fuel, of course, that they've measured a lower demand for gasoline. Now, this is the first step in the obsolescence of gas cars, because no gas cars, right? And people who drive electric vehicles are already telling you that the electric vehicles only make sense in a 15-minute city. Once you go outside of that, it doesn't make any sense to take road trips in an electric vehicle, because basically it's going to take you twice as long to get to your destination, because you have to stop every so many hours, charge that thing for several hours, and you'll just never get there. It's not cost effective. And so now you're beginning to see the agenda. The agenda is to keep you in a geographical location within 15 minutes of where you live. They don't want people traveling state to state. They want to compartmentalize us into these easily controllable zones where they can make rules and punish you if you don't follow the rules, and you won't be able to escape because you'll be stuck in that grid. This is why we need to be exercising our rights right now to be outside the grid or outside of their controlled areas. So, no president is going to stop the electric agenda. Again, mark my words. Even if Trump were to come in, the electrification of America will continue. Let's read this. Decline in gasoline demand, a noticeable and permanent change. Could be a trend that's here to stay, says one analyst. There has been a noticeable and I believe permanent change toward lower gasoline demand. Well, that's what they want. They want us to think that. Right? And this all happened during the lockdowns. Remember that? They stopped producing as much gasoline because no one was allowed to drive. So, that's why the gas prices were low under Trump. Then they shot up, didn't they? Because as the economy started open, there wasn't enough gasoline. So, now, let's get into some Donald Trump today. Because the Supreme Court says that they are going to hear the case to reinstate Donald Trump over the rigged election. Now, this is an interesting development. I don't know how all this is going to shake out, but this is weird because it's giving some legitimacy to all this. I wouldn't be surprised if this is how he gets put back into power. I mean, maybe this is their backup plan in case they don't get enough popular support for him. Just say, okay, well, we'll just give you the next presidency since the other one was stolen from you. Because obviously, Joe Biden's at the end of his presidency. Let's read what's going on here. This is interesting. Let me make sure you guys are with me, and we'll get into this Supreme Court hearing this Trump's argument about the rigged election. Good morning, everybody. The U.S. Supreme Court is reportedly considering hearing Brunson v. Adams lawsuit after previously dismissing it earlier this year. The lawsuit appears to be seeking to remove President Joe Biden from the White House and reinstate former President Donald Trump, 76, as President of the United States, as it claims that lawmakers violated their oaths of office by refusing to investigate the allegedly fraudulent 2020 general election, which it claims was rigged in Biden's favor. Wow. So, we will see what happens, you guys. This is spooky, isn't it? Now, remember we talked about nurses going from hero to zero. Well, apparently, thousands of nurses had fake degrees during the pandemic. People are upset. Fake diplomas provided care without proper training. I think this was centered around Florida. Oh boy. More than 7,600 aspiring nurses cheated the healthcare system and obtained fraudulent nursing degrees from 3 South Florida nursing schools, according to federal authorities, in a scheme healthcare professionals say could undermine trust in the profession. Some 2,600 of those individuals used fake diplomas to take the nursing board exam and passed, giving them access to work in healthcare facilities across the country. Diplomas were issued by Siena College in Broward County, the Palm Beach School of Nursing in Palm Beach County, and Sacred Heart International Institute in Broward County, all of which are now closed. Now, if any of you live down there and heard about this, please let us know in the chat. So it says, though the scheme involved Florida schools, it affected multiple states. Now, we all saw the ramping up of nurses, how they were used in the pandemic. I'm not saying all nurses are bad, obviously. I'm saying that they used the nurses. They gave them ultimatums. They forced them to get injections. There were good nurses. There were bad nurses. There were dancing nurses. But we all saw what was happening before the pandemic ever happened. There was a huge silent ramping up of nursing. It's almost as if the powers that be knew what was coming. They were heavily recruiting people into nursing programs just before the pandemic. It was actually named the Year of the Nurse before the pandemic ever happened in The Economist. The whole Nightingale Gate, Project Nightingale, it was all hinted at before it ever happened because they knew they would need the nurses. They knew this was going to be the front line. Oh, look. Lo and behold, the investigation known as Operation Nightingale found that the national scheme began in 2016 and ended in 2021. Unbelievable. So they're here. This is confirming what I just said. They were ramping up nurses. So they basically, this was the bait and switch. So what they did, this was another honey trap. What do you mean, Casey? Well, they knew they were going to need the nurses. So they're like, okay, let's do these programs. Make no mistake, this was probably government funded. And of course, people desperate to make, $50, $60, $70 an hour, probably like, okay, well, hey, it's an institution and they're giving me this fake whatever. Let's go for it. Then they used them, and then now they're hanging them out to dry. This is called a honey trap. We've seen this happen many times in different scenarios. We sent in, on several occasions, undercover agents to purchase these degrees. As they were explained to us, they were able to purchase the degrees having no medical background or having taken any course. Now, what would be the incentive for the government to do this? Well, how hard is it to give an injection? They give you the fake degree, set you out in the hospitals. Pandemic hits, all you got to do is give a shot. They use them and then throw them away. Then they blame Florida. Unbelievable. What are your thoughts on this, you guys? Do you think this was a honey trap? It surely seems like it's shaping up to be that. Now, speaking of injections, another one bites the dust. Now, I hadn't heard of this particular person. Janssen Panettieri's cause of death confirmed. Cardiomegaly. Now, the name alone is interesting. Janssen, right? Janice Janssen. Actress Hayden Panettieri's younger brother dropping out from this heart condition. Now, they go on to talk about the cause of death, but then you go down in the comments section and everyone's like, we know what it is. And those comments all have mostly thumbs up, very few thumbs down, a few trolls in there trolling these people, but more young people dropping out. So, what else do we have in here? Many of you have iPhones. And have any of you guys noticed anything different? This is out of the Washington Post. Well, something's going on with your iPhone. Welcome to a woke phone world, where when you go to try to charge your phone, the phone says, "Oh, no, not yet. Let's wait until we can charge your phone more efficiently." I'm not making this up, you guys. We may need to rename the iPhone the Karen phone. Let's read this. Imagine waking up in the middle of the night and groggily rolling over to check the time on your iPhone. Instead of seeing an already full battery indicator, though, you spot something else. A blurb at the bottom of the screen that says your phone is scheduled to finish charging sometime later. What's up with that? Now let me know if any of you have had this happen to your iPhone. It isn't the stuff of dreams. It's something iPhones in the United States now do, thanks to clean energy charging feature built into recent versions of Apple's iOS 16 software. While it barely raised eyebrows when it was first released in an update in October, the feature, which attempts to charge iPhones using electricity generated through supposedly cleaner methods, has gotten Apple customers and critics debating on social media. So what are these cleaner methods? Well, probably wind energy. Some, like popular YouTuber Marquis Brownlee, have called it a win for the environment. Others have decried the feature as woke and a tool for globalists. I'm not going to say this lady's name because anytime you say this is another honey trap. When you say her name, the algorithms pick it up and they flag your videos. I've seen lots of people lose channels just talking about this woman. I believe in feeding trees, she added. There's a pretty good chance this eco-minded feature is running on your phone right now. Here's what you need to know. How does the feature work? Broadly speaking, it's meant to reduce your carbon footprint. Oh, because charging my phone has such a huge impact on the carbon footprint, right? Wow. So now they're telling you when and what times of the day you can charge your iPhone. Support page on Apple's website spells out how the feature is supposed to work, at least a little. When clean energy charging is enabled and your phone is plugged in, it will access a forecast of carbon emissions in your local energy grid. Using that forecast, your device will try to fully charge itself when lower carbon emission electricity is most available from the power grid. So this would be like probably during times of the year where it's sunny and they're getting solar panel energy into the grid. But I can imagine in times like the winter, you're going to have a really hard time charging your iPhone. Apple also says your iPhone learns from your daily charging routine. So this more selective approach to charging should, but may not always, result in a full battery when you need it. Clean energy charging engages only where you spend the most time and regularly charge your iPhone for long periods of time, such as your home and place of work. Apple's support page says the feature doesn't engage if your charging habits are variable or you're in a new location. So, more and more control. This is what we told you was going to happen with the electrification of America, which is why we have to resist it. Now, Sunday, I decoded the 1998 movie Sphere. Stars Dustin Hoffman, Samuel L. Jackson, and Sharon Stone. And what I confirmed after watching this film is that the sphere represents the dark womb, the rebaptism into the beast, not into Jesus Christ. The movie even actually contains 2 injections, 2 hypodermic needles. So I can't wait to break this down on Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Central Time, I believe. Looking forward to all of you being there. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I'll put links to all these stories in the pinned comment. Glad it's Friday. We won't have a show tomorrow. Kind of the day of rest. let's go into the chat and do a little Q&A before we pop off of here. And please do not let me end this show at 33 minutes. Where are we at right now? On 3-3. That would not be good. Let's see where are we at with minutes here. Just so you know, I never intentionally end a show on a specific time, but every once in a while it'll land on a weird time. How long have we been live, you guys? Let's see here. It should say right here. Oh, it doesn't want to say, huh? All right. Let's go into the chat. Happy prep day. Oh, it's prep day today, huh? You banned me for 5 minutes. 30-minute mark. Oh, we're at 30. Okay. Bonus track when done charging. Okay. We're at 30 minutes. Maybe we should just end it now. Well, I want to hang out with you guys for a little bit. Okay. Can't make Sunday shows at church then. Decode the Consultant. Okay, what is that, a TV series? Hope you made it through the storm. Yeah, it was, oh boy, it was thundering and lightning. And I have some footage on my Blink because, as you guys know, I live an hour away from where my cabin is. But I have a camera, a Blink camera. I can like tap into it and just check on it, you know. And the camera actually got struck by lightning. I don't know what it is about me and lightning. It's unbelievable. I've been struck by lightning twice, as you guys know that know me. Wasn't like serious, but I got zapped. And once in Texas and once in France. Two completely different places on the planet. And the one in France blew up my laptop. Came right down through the power line. Because the cord that I had there didn't have a ground. I didn't have a ground because I had like the wrong cord or something. I had to use an adapter. And it came right down through the weather vane or whatever you call it. And zapped me. And I had to go like buy a laptop when I was in France. And it was all in French. Many of you remember this. I had to like replace the keys on the keyboard and download a new keyboard setting or something. Just to get back on my computer and get back to you guys. It took me like a week. I was all stressed out. Yeah, pretty crazy. So it was going off last night. Now I know there were a lot of tornadoes that spun off for the people in Oklahoma and Texas. So pray for them. Hopefully there's not too much damage. But you guys, I grew up in California. We didn't have weather like this. You know, I mean, I can remember maybe 3 or 4 thunderstorms my entire life growing up in California. That was it. And here in the South, in the Midwest, there's thunderstorms every few weeks. And the lightning is like weird. It's like, it's not just one lightning bolt every so often. It's like boom, 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 boom. It sounds like someone's playing a drum. Like literally just keeps going for like minutes. And you're like, wow. And then you see lightning strikes like all around you, like really close. So, different world out here. I don't know if the weather's gotten worse. For those of you that live in the South, has it gotten worse over the last 30 years? Or is it about the same and just nobody knew about it who lived in California? Because I didn't hear about this. But, all right, let's look up the Consultant. Is it a TV series? Oh, I guess it is. Black comedy thriller television series. Okay, so this is brand new. Let's take a look here. Oh boy, black comedy. It's a little rough for me with black comedy. I did Decode White Noise. That was kind of a black comedy. So maybe I'll give this one a shot. So. Ooh, wow. Yeah, Mr. Lightning is probably after me, isn't he? Mr. Lucifer falling like lightning from heaven, trying to light me up. Boy. No, it's not a comedy, says Natalie Jones. Okay. I think it's moved south over the last 20 years, Tornado Alley. So people believe they can control the weather. It's rained a lot in the south my whole life, says Rachel. She's 40. Good morning. It's worse in Florida, says Joanne. No, not a comedy. And pull once it came quick. It's gotten weirder lately, weather. It just seems super unstable anymore, says Jamie. Well, I do know that it's very, very late in the tornado season to be having tornadoes still. I know that's new because I've heard weather channels talk about that. Everyone is moving here, so it's expensive now and crowded. Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, you guys, I guess I'll get off of here. Hopefully we don't end the show in 33 minutes. I can't see how long we've been live. Let's see. When did I start? I guess we're getting close to 30 minutes. I'll pop off of here, you guys. I love each and every one of you. I'll see you guys on Sunday. Take care and be safe. Much love.